Okay, endocrine system. With endocrines, we mainly talk about like certain major glands in this system. Pituitary is the main one because this is like the boss gland. And then thyroid, parathyroids. Then we go with the adrenals, pancreas, ovary, testes. And that's about the bulk of the adrenal system that you get into that plays such a huge adrenal role on the body. I mean, there's other things that go on just through vascular. The other key point is there are three types of endocrine stimulation. There's neural, neural, hormonal. And the unfortunate part is, you know, if you get into grad school, med school, PA school, any of these type of programs, nurse practitioner, you get into a whole course just on endocrine physiology. So you get so much out. You're not going to get that, you know, unless you become a true phys major to go into this stuff. You know, your bio, your secondary major in biology, your physiology expert. So, you know, the biggest thing they do is called neurophys, this endocrine phys, which is such an important feature because there's three ways we stimulate the system. Then the last thing we talk about, the hormones that come out of the anterior, and of course your pituitary, and that's it. We don't really detail the heck out of this system because it's a tough system to really understand. But it's a true system to understand that negative feedback loop in the body, how we work. And all it means is the opposite. We want the opposite effect of what's happening. That's what they mean by negative feedback. If we lived in a positive feedback loop, we would die. Because systems would never shut off. You'd overproduce everything and you'd die. So the only two systems, just remember for phys, in a few weeks, if we take it in the summer, if we start on May 23rd, you know, it will be that the positive feedback loops are blood clotting, because you can't stop until the end product is done, and childbirth. Those are only two things that run the positive feedback loop. Everything else is negative feedback. That's a key one. It is. To survive. So let's go into these individual ways. This is humoral stimulation. And all it means is that I don't have to wait for a nerve to stimulate this particular organ to secrete, or a hormone coming from the pituitary. What's going to happen, it's going to read a blood shift. And as soon as, like, the parathyroid hormone glands, they read calcium is low, they're automatically going to secrete out parathyroid hormone. It doesn't need to be stimulated by the nervous system to say, okay, wake up, do something, or I need a stimulating hormone to turn me on.
It doesn't need the stimulant.
It doesn't need it. It does it itself. So humoral means as soon as it sees a shift in blood supply of a certain element that this hormone is designed to read, it'll turn on itself. And if it sees calcium levels are low, it's going to come out with the circulation to cause what type of bone activity to take calcium out of the bone? Elastic or plastic? Remember this. Elastic or plastic? Plastic. Lytic reaction, right? To take it out. So it's going to stimulate a hormone also called an enzyme for your FYI, alkaline phosphatase. So that's how they can tell when you have a lytic reaction in your body, a plastic reaction is acid phosphatase, which is called prostatic metastasis. So they can literally tell by looking at these enzymes in your blood picture, do you have a metastasis going on in your body? You put out traces and any stuff, the prehistoric way still works. They can tell. And you see these climb through the roof from lytic reactions. So in a reaction that the body needs the calcium, you would stimulate this hormone, and this hormone would stimulate this enzyme, stimulate these cells, boom, calcium comes into the blood, and we straighten it out. And then when it rises, so why is that a negative feedback loop? Because it's low, and I'm raising it to high. It's an opposite effect. You understand what we mean by negative feedback, doesn't mean we're,
Or just too negative, that's why we have negative feedback.
no. She's not loaded with negative feedback loops, that's why she's so negative on it, she says how much. So do you want, so that's our first one. So urinary stimulation, stimulated by chemical leads in the blood. End of story. Very simple. And this is a very simplified, watered down version of that chapter. If you read that chapter, your head will blow off your shoulders if you have no understanding of this. But by giving you some understanding, it's going to help you get ready for physiology. That's the whole goal of this lecture. Very easy questions will be asked about this stuff. Very basic. That if you've read it a couple of times, you'll know the answers. It's not like, oh my God, it's deep secret. No. So that should be neural stim. This is your stress system. What's the nervous system going to do? Turn that sympathetic system on, boom, to whack the adrenal glands to turn on. So we blow up epinephrine. The catecholamines come pouring out. Okay? So that's neural stim. Reacting to an effect to make an effect. Okay? So that's what's happening. So that would be by neural stimulation. And the main system that does it, we showed you the stress thing. There it is. This is short-term stress because it's the nervous system reacting. You get aggravated, someone cuts you off, that's your nervous system reacting. Walking in here to take an exam, everything's like Piper, your eyes are dilated, there you go. But as soon as it's over, then it shuts down. That's normal stress, that's normal turning on the system, which is good for you. Understand? Compared to chronic.
You know, you go to bed, you wake up with a doom feeling on you.
Live doom enough, doom does come. Because you create the episode to happen. It's not common, you make it happen. You just create it. You hang with people that are always negative and right. Am I wrong with that or something? The question was, yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so you know how like epinephrine will leave from particular reactors?
That's a different situation.
But I mean, but is your body not able to produce that?
Fast enough, exactly, because you're having a histamine reaction that's overpowering the antihistamine reaction, which is that. The allergic reaction is just too overwhelming for the body, it's just pouring out white blood cells, reducing the size, you know, so yeah. So you're trying to get that blood out there as quick as you can, so given the injection, you flood the body with the hormones, so boom, it's going to happen, but we can't do it. That's why you have allergic reactions. You can't handle certain things, your body just can't resist against it. Now, over time, you build resistance. Injections do, the allergen. It's a little bit of the allergen each time, so your body adapts to it and can deal with it. So the last way of stimulating is hormonal. All right, hormonal stimulation, or in David's case, hormonal stimulation. All right, so we're right to the last lecture. Boom. All right, hormonal. So hormonal stimulation means the best one to use as an example is thyroid. Okay, so the thyroid, the pituitary leads that thyroxine or T3, T4, T7 is low in your blood supply. So the pituitary picks this up. So it's going to send out thyroid stimulating hormone to hit the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine, to synthesize and produce thyroxine. That is using a hormonal. Just like under chronic stress, we're going to secrete out two types of different steroids out of that pancreas, and out of your adrenals, and one would be your basic endocrine. The other one is the glucocorticoids, which are there to play with your kidneys and the angiotensin system and volume control. So that's a stress situation. So there's two types of stimulation hitting that adrenal gland. And that, when you're seeing that second adrenal cortex, is one I showed you with the stress situation now, that we brought the hormonal system in here, because it was so immune depressed and adrenal depressed that we're having an issue. So that's also a normal response to regulate blood pressure and sodium levels in the body. We use that. by reading things, sodium's high, sodium's low, rather, sort of turn this on, to return sodium back. When sodium becomes higher, it shuts it off. So it's just a stimulating effect of ACTH coming in to the adrenal. And then here, the gonads will be the follow the stimulating luteinizing hormone hitting the gonads to produce sperm, produce mature ovum, or produce estrogen and testosterone. That is all controlled though by hormone from the pituitary. So in that case, the pituitary totally controls these glands in these circumstances. Not really from the blood like the parathyroid did. Not getting stimulated by a nervous system like the outside of the adrenals do, neurosynthetic reaction. Okay, so there's different types. So the three types: one, neural, which is blood; two, neural; three, hormone, which is under the pituitary. And which everybody kind of thinks of. When you think of endocrine, you think of the pituitary controlling everything. It does to an extent. Okay, not everything. It doesn't control the parathyroids. It doesn't control the secretion of the sympathetic system. No. But there's other things it does. Okay, so that's the three basic systems of turning on our endocrine system. Why is it called endocrine? Because these are glands that have no ducts and secretes its hormonal product into the blood through target organs. There you go. You see no ducts here. With all this rain, you should have ducts now. Okay, yes.
Why is the thyroid gland attacked by so many things, like so many medications, so many foods?
It affects easily. It only affects it if you have a problem with it. And the effect is not that the stuff you ingest will create the problem. If you have a problem, the meds that are used on you are inhibited to work by certain foods, such as the green vegetables that will affect it. Even certain types of zinc and capsules with it that will affect the use of synfloride. So it's the hormone that's being used to help the gland synthesize. Is just very sensitive to certain products. It's more of that. Now there's autoimmune side, which is a genetic link. Hashimoto disease, which is autoimmune destruction of the gland. The gland just dies and the body attacks it, believes it doesn't belong there, and starts destroying it. So anything that's autoimmune based is nasty. Like scleroderma, any of these connective tissue diseases are wicked as hell. They come under the windows like that. So the body just attacks underlying tissue. Scleroderma attacks it and throws excess collagen in there and thickens tissues where they don't work anymore. Lupus, same thing. It's in that same basis. They're genetic. Big part of it genetic. Very genetic in the darker type cultures too. Most, it's a 3-to-1 ratio of black male over a white male. Then a 3-to-1 ratio of a female over the male in the race. With scleroderma you can have in the Asian population. It's not common in the Mediterranean population. Other diseases like lupus, androgenous disease, and other things, Mediterranean anemia, that is. So you have other issues. So every genetic background or every race background coming from a gene pool has a situation. And when you think of a human body, it's nothing but a bag of DNA. You think we're so fancy, just a glob of DNA where osmosis and fusion taking place. That's all we are. We're not this big fancy thing that we think we are. We're just a glob of DNA. That just does what it's supposed to do. When it doesn't, then you die. It's over. So we see we have two lobes. The anterior lobe will be big because it's going to secrete a lot more hormone than the posterior lobe. And then here's our stress picture again. Short-term stress, neurostimulation. Long-term stress, you screw up your system where you're not shutting down your pituitary stimulation into this gland, which is going to have severe consequences over time. You just
pushed the point beyond the point of fix, so now you need meds to fix it. Mainly, to go talk to counselors and get your head back where it belongs. Meds are nice for short term, but they won't kill you. Person stress needs to talk it out with the right people, not just friends, because friends are gonna tell them they want to hear, not what they should hear. And it does work if you do, and give it a shot. People don't believe that. You know, it's not, there's something weird or crazy. No, they're not crazy. It's an illness. And they're lacking the right amounts of serotonin in their brain to deal with the stress. They've depleted it. So they need help. It's like a person with thyroid needs insulin, a diabetic needs insulin. Well, they need help too. So it's not they're crazy, no. They're sick. Sick like anybody else is sick.
They prescribe the precursors for serotonin.
They try, and then the last thing you want to be placed on, but does work to make these drugs work so much more effectively is lithium. Lithium is tough. It's, you know, you have to be monitored on a monthly basis because this thing is so toxic. And they don't, you know, to this day, they don't understand what it does, but it works. They really don't.
Every 2 weeks when
Yeah, you do. It's bad, but does it change the person's behavior? Bad, big time. Boom. You get someone that's you put them on lithium with their antidepressant, they're like, no, it's a cat sleeping in the corner all the time. But they don't know, it's weird. You look up stuff on it and read about it, and it's still a mystery of what it does to the brain to make these drugs more enhancing. And they don't like to go to it, but if they have to, they will. So in a case like this, with lithium based with their antidepressant and stuff, work, probably, yeah. We'll take them right out of where they are. But if you use it on a short-term basis, in other words, like 3 months, and they go through counseling and they do what they're supposed to do, they can get off this, everything. You can make the mind stronger again. I'm not talking about a bipolar person, that's not what I'm talking about.
Isn't that what they typically prescribe for? Is it
Yeah.
bipolar?
Yeah, it works out, but I'm talking about a person who threw themselves into such a severe depressed state of anxiety, where they, you know, they slash anxiety and depression together, you know, that everything's bad. You know, they wake up bad, go to bed bad, they don't sleep is bad. So they're just slowly in the race, and then they would go to the sexy eyes, you know. Hypothyroidism, eyes bulging out of their head. There were actors that had this condition known as Don Knotts, that were on TV and different show and all that stuff. It was actually like,
Sorry.
and then you go into a better picture. They use it for eye conversion. And then the young boy would, oh my God. Oh. So what have they done in the United States that we don't have this condition anymore? See the magic word iodine? Iodine salt. That's how we got rid of it. Because you need that to synthesize. Iodine helps in the final synthesization of the sin. Without it, it doesn't come out, it just moves the gland. So you just put them on iodine, which basically stain them right out.
Too much salt, that will help too.
Yeah, all you would need is take it, and that's it. I mean, you don't need a lot of it, you just need some. We don't need to be putting the container of salt on our food. But everything you eat in this country has salt in it. It's very hard to find a product and read the back label that there's no certain type of salt or stearate in there that's preserving this thing. That's just the way it is. You go in other countries, no, it wouldn't be on it because it's not in it. Here, it's in it. So other countries, you know, because their food is so earth-grown and stuff, is it harmful to have a little salt in their food? Probably not. But for us, yeah, because it's already there. We don't need it. You got more than enough sodium and you stick in your mouth. Just go drink the ocean.
Or get a salt lick.
Salt lick. And then this is what David did to this woman that we
Broke her down.
broke it down
spiritually.
Right. And this is Cushing's disease, which is not a stress disease. But it gives the same picture because it's a tumor sitting in the adrenal gland. It's an adrenal tumor. And it's bad, deadly tumor, because the person's got chronic severe hypertension through the roof. And would a chronic stress situation, stimulating ACTH hormone constantly pouring into the adrenal cause the same thing? Yes. You would look like this. A fat hump. This is not Darwin's hump, which is a structural hump. This is a hump with a fat buffalo hump. A fat pad builds up back there. So you get that, pushing in the back of your kyphotic area of the spine, into the cervical spine. There you go. So wonderful. So other than that, look at her. Does she look happy? No.
She looks like happy to eat it, picture.
What?
She looks like happy to eat it.
No, but she looks
The first one, she looks like she's put together, she's got.
right. She's got confidence and put together. This one here, she developed she's angry, Daviditis. Angry resting. Hates man, hates the world.
You can see that, like.
Look at the eyes here.
Yeah.
Look at them here.
She doesn't make up though.
Well, she's like this. She's not like this anymore. She's not standing erect. Yes, Dave. I noticed your son didn't come back today.
Oh, he loved it the other day.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I said, who's that big guy in the front? Who's that douche in the front row? I'm going to this one. So we're going to get into the hormones now because I want to hit the review with you guys. So the basic hormones, we're going to start with the anterior. And usually you're going to see we take luteinizing hormone and stimulating hormones, we're getting near the end of this anterior, and we put them together because they kind of work symbiotically together. So the first one we talk about is growth hormone, GH. And this is a big hormone used today by athletes, GH1, because it's a great hormone for hypertrophy and muscle tissue, GH, and destroying tendons. That's why there's more tendon rupture than ever in sports today compared to years ago. The joint wasn't designed, to have a muscle 5 times its size. Do you see animal kingdom muscles that virtually through the roof? No. They have lean, strong muscle mass, which is much more effective than big, bulky muscles. Big, bulky muscles look nice walking on the beach. Walk around. I want to be rid of it. No, but the point is, your body wasn't built to be that way. There's nothing wrong with toning muscle and leaning the tone. That's the best, healthiest muscle. But in the case of making it into muscles that are being this big, now it's this big, no. And that's what this is doing. Because it's not only affecting bone, we studied it just on the effect of bone growth. It affects every organ in the body that's going to grow. And it's going to overwork liver for liver synthesizing this product, detoxifying it, synthesizing it. So the bottom line is, should I be adding this hormone to myself? What do you do? No. 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 No, they don't need to be used to be strong. That's an example of that with Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was the first one to use like supplements stuff.
He used supplements, not this.
Not that, yeah.
And even supplements too is a bunch of bullshit. You don't need it.
No, I know.
That's beside the point. But the thing is, the way I'm not saying the way we use it, the way they use it, you don't need it. I'm talking about supplements and keeping a healthy body. But he was the first one to show you didn't have to be used to be powerful. And that's the key. You don't have to be. Seriously. I knew the football player with the Oakland Raiders very well, Mark Van Eaton, who played together in high school, and he went off to the Oakland Raiders and set a lot of records as a fullback. He's not a big guy at all. And he was an unbelievable running back against guys. He said, what the problem is with that? He goes, pound for pound, the guy that's 200 pounds is pretty strong like that. It's all fake muscle strength. It's like anything else. To make a heavier car go quicker, you supercharge and put more horsepower in it. Okay, that's what they're doing to the human body. So when you get someone that's 350 pounds, can run the 40 yards at 4.4, like a guy that's 200 pounds, that's not normal. He's doing something to his heart. There's no way in hell you're gonna get that big, that fast, without putting something artificial in there. Bottom line, you just can't. It can be quick, but not as fast as a guy that's half your size. It can't be. The mass and weight's there. You can't compete against it. So there's other things they do. So the point is, this stuff is bad. If you don't have enough growth hormone, you know the person will be a little person. If you have too much gigantism, biggest thing is acromegaly, big long fingers. The problem with any of these bony diseases, like too much, the bones they're not really strong. They become brittle and snappy. So frax is very common now. Dislocation. But they get big long fingers, and longer than normal. So there's a lot of changes that happen with too much of it as a child develops versus not enough. Okay? So the main thing I care about, comes from the anterior pituitary. What does it do? It supplies growth to all your tissues. That's all you need to know about. Next one is thyroid stimulating hormone. We already talked about this. The TSH secretes out to stimulate the thyroid to form thyroid hormones, which is mainly your metabolism. The term cretinism, what it means is short, fat kid. That's what it means. Kid's stunting growth, chubbier than it should be. A fat dwarf. Like a fat elf. Santa Claus. Oh, God. No. The point is, it's like, so if someone says they have a baby at 9 months, oh, baby's so good, just eats, sleeps, and goes to the bathroom, no wine at all, nothing. Then we check the thyroid problem, not development problem. So that's what they mean by that term here in myxedema in the adult. Well, a lot of people that suffer with real significant hypothyroidism have fat-looking lower their legs. The anterior portion is thick-looking because they build fluid in the pretibial region under the superficial fascia. Between the deep and superficial fascia, they build a layer. Fascia. And there you go with that. So they mean by pretibial myxedema.
I don't know if you just said it, but do you have to be like born with it, or can you get it over time?
This?
Like thyroid?
No. You can get it later in life. Is there a genetic link? Some. They don't know why. Toxins can get in and destroy things, and depending on what you've worked with, things you've done, like the new thing, what's it, morning glory seeds now, take them and it gives you an LSD, hallucinogenic. I guess I'm going to try it and see what happens.
Bang this shit out, even 4 times a dose.
I mean, well, who would be the first kid to say, well, we'll swallow these seeds to see what the hell happened? I mean,
I mean, the guy that made LSD made it in his lab, and it was like.
That's my point. It's so creative, but you do something for the, not the better good, the better bad,
That was experiment, Doc. He could have gotten smarter.
He could have. And hypothyroidism is the opposite effect. The person that's hypothyroid has weight issues, no matter, they don't eat, they walk by food and they gain weight. They're lethargic, in other words, they don't have any energy level, they're down, they don't feel good. Person hyper is the opposite. They're through the roof all the time. We're like someone with severe ADHD, but it's not, it's due to that. And, eyes bulging out of the head, they can eat like 10,000 calories a day, they don't need an ounce. There you go. That's the hypothyroid person.
Hate those people.
So, TSH would be in a situation with it. So when you run a thyroid profile, they include TSH with T3, T4, T7, 3 thyroxine, and so forth. You look at these levels, and you see those levels might be normal, but the TSH is through the roof. That the pituitary is overworking, slamming this gland to push out enough thyroxine into the body. And, so 2 ways they look. One, you do an MRI, make sure we don't have a tumor sitting in the pituitary. If that's normal, then they're on the early signs of hypothyroidism. And it's very hard to regulate synthroid hormone. It takes a year or 2 to for the endocrines to get this thing to work. And even then, the blood picture looks good, and the people still don't feel perfect. Still don't feel well. And as that patient with that one, you can put them on the other stuff, the supplemental stuff, which, because a lot of thyroid hormone does synthesize in the soft tissues of the body, and that's what the herbal stuff does. And you put them on even the bovine type of thyroid gland, actual granule extract, and they still don't feel. It's very hard to get these people feeling good. You get 1 out of like 20 that you get feeling good. The rest, health-wise, they look okay, but they're not themselves. So it's a tough disease to deal with. And people that have it, you feel bad for them because it's hard. So the next one would be what we talked about, ACTH. And this is the one that's going to stimulate the adrenal cortex to secrete, bless you, two mineral corticoids and glucocorticoids. And the glucocorticoids, the one that's playing with the angiotensin system in your kidneys. And they use, metformin on diabetics. They use metformin on people who have renal problems because it works with this system. And it does help the diabetic filter move better in the urine to reabsorb more glucose than kick it into the urine. So there are different meds they're using now. But it plays with the angiotensin system. And what it does, they're known as ACE inhibitors. They go in and they block the reabsorption of sodium. Because the body's pulling too much back in this case. So that's what they mean when they put you on an ACE inhibitor. So that's what ACE inhibitors do. And the thing is, with the, low is kind of rare, but does it happen? Yes. And they'd have to put you on a little bit of epi each day. You would take a dose of like 10 milligrams of epinephrine a day to help you deal with it. And Cushing's disease is the one the tumor sits in there. And you're over-secreting ACTH. And what will happen in these people, they find it in the urine. That's what you look for. 24-hour urine volume studies. And you see ACTH is through the roof. So this hormone here, it's right in its name, adrenal corticotrophic hormone, is to cause adrenal secretion. So that's, that deals with your stresses of the body. Then follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, and then when I see the next page, luteinizing hormone, similar effects. They work on the gonads. The gonadal hormones, and just round it up to either maturation of sperm, maturation of ovum, and producing your estrogen, you need estrogen and testosterone. So that's what they're there for. That's why we have them. If they're low in dose, the person never matures sexually, so they're usually impotent, or they can't get pregnant. If the level's a little high, there's really no particular effect, because you really don't see it. They don't go through the roof. And if you look at luteinizing hormone, similar thing as, so put FSH and LH together in the same category. Then we have prolactin hormone, which is for one thing, lactation, milk production. Secretes out to the breast tissue to produce milk. And you'll see this happen, as a person's pregnant. As they go through a later phase of pregnancy, prolactin hormone starts to increase because the breast will start to engorge themselves.
So, if that's literally all for, why do men have it too?
But everybody has a little of it. Because we derived off the X gene, remember that?
Okay.
People don't realize the X gene's been around thousands of years, way before Y, even longer than that. But it's like the Y gene developed later on as reproduction becomes more complex, to make more complex species, then the Y gene develops. But the X was first. That's why, female mitochondrial DNA is so much more potent than male. Big difference. So that's why when you get sex-linked disease, they really travel big, hard on a female than a male. Why is the male having so bad? because he doesn't have another extra to knock it out. Where the daughter can be a carrier, the son has the trait. So throw like, where, if it's low, you kind of suck at breastfeeding, you're gonna have to suck them. If you got too much, then you can get diarrhea of the nipples, like the rear. It exists a lot why women, if they breastfeed for a long period of time, just sometimes the crying of a baby can stimulate their nipples to secrete. So it's nice when you go out, you get a dark dress out, 2 rings for them here.
Oh, yeah. My ex-wife, every time not with my son, but my daughter, every time she cried,
And you never wore chicks during the night.
what are you talking about? I slept like a baby.
Even when you miss your baby,
See?
Yeah,
And it's harder, we're gonna get into this now.
she had hers pierced, so she had to take them out when the baby was born. Too big fluff.
Oh, yeah. So, in males become impotent if they have as much as long.
Yeah, my baby.
So that's what happened.
Doesn't happen to people. So that was all the anterior. So there's only 2 from the posterior. So the bottom line is you're just gonna know like where they come from, just 2 from the posterior, because everything else comes from the anterior. So you can't screw that question up about. So there's only 2 in the posterior. That's it. Everything else is anterior. I mean, you're gonna know the kind of the effect of each one, but where you come from, well, it's not these 2, it goes in the front, to the back. Simple as that. So you don't have to blow your brains out figuring, memorizing all this crap. Oxytocin. Well, oxytocin is a great smooth muscle contractor, especially your breast tissue and uterine tissue. And that's going to pour out with a lot of moms lactating constantly. So when she breastfeeds, it does help bring that uterus back to shape quickly, bring the breast shape, because it constantly has a smooth muscle contraction keeps it tone. So that period of what they call full period, which is like can be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, is cut in half by breastfeeding moms. So it gives the chance, if she's into coitus, they can do coitus quicker, or she'll go back to shape quicker. What's the biggest danger of having sex too soon?
getting pregnant.
Pregnant. So you have Irish twins.
Yeah, that's why I waited.
These
12
Irish
years.
twins.
It says 6. I waited 12.
12 years, right?
But I wouldn't have
So what they mean by that, the same, there's a lot of nicknames for a lot of things which are not really correct. Means that you have 2 babies born in 1 year. So, have a baby, 9 months later, 10 months, another baby comes. So say you got a baby in January, another one comes in November. Irish twins was born the same year. And that was told to me by an Irish student, I didn't know that. So, by that. So there's really no unknown etiologies of not enough too much. Also, the key with this hormone is bonding. Mom bonds better with the baby. This has been studied in lower mammals and stuff where normally these animals eat their young, what they don't while they're breastfeeding because of the hormone. It makes them become more nurturing. So it's like a nurturing hormone. So you can see if the mom breastfeeds for a year and stays home with that child for a year, she's going to have a harder time to break away from that child and go back to work.
So that's why in America we send them back at 30 something, right?
Right. So you give it to America. Oh no, TDI allows you 6 weeks, so we give you 6 weeks. Temporary disability gives you 6 weeks, and that's the issue. Generally, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah. The Asian women are having them kids out in the race.
They do, and then they pick them up, stick them here and here, and they keep picking them.
Damn right. God.
This is the only country that makes it a disease.
Yeah, it's a disability, that's what's weird.
Right. This is the only country that makes, having a child a disease. It's not. It's a normal entity.
It's a parasitic infection. The parasite comes out and it feeds off the host for 18 years.
18 about all.
18 years ago.
I think you have 2 parasites.
Yes.
All right, the last one, ready? Anti-diuretic hormone, ADH. This is the hormone that controls your water balance. So what it does in the kidneys, when this hormone's present, you reabsorb fluids. Like we talked about the kidney, we filter 180 liters a day, we only excrete out 1.5 to 2. So this will retain even more if it has to. So you'll see that when you inhibit ADH, you pee. And what inhibits ADH? Well, my friend, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. That's why you pee so much when you drink. So between David's nicotine and alcohol, it's always in the restroom. It's not because you don't eat something. All right. So so why do they put you on, like Lasix, thiazide, to shut this hormone off, push fluids out of your body, sodium goes with it, volume drops, blood pressure drops. That's why it's the first way they start treating it. Antidiuretics to go against this. They're going to shut it down. So you want diuretics versus antidiuretics. And a lot of herbal teas will have that natural effect on it without side effect. Okay? So it plays with the tubules where you reabsorb. This is what it works on. And, so when the hormone's not present, you can dehydrate. And you can get a false type diabetes called insipidus. The glucose becomes more present because the volume is dropped in the blood, how to push it across the membrane. So diabetes insipidus is due to an ADH problem, not that insulin problem. Then, if we have oversecretion of it, that's not good. Why? You're going to retain too much fluid. All right? So the main thing to know about the three methods of stimulation, how you turn them on. How many sit in the anterior, how many sit in the posterior. Key is just know what's in the posterior because it's two. That's it. And the key ones that I would know about are the ones that like thyroid. What are the common diseases? Thyroid disease, ADH, these couple. That's about the main two that you can ask anything about. But maybe know which two come from the posterior. So if you know the posterior, you know the anterior. It's like the mesoderm. You knew what was in ecto, you knew what was in endo. Everything else went to meso. So it's an easy thing to figure out. So I think you get like 5 or 6 questions they need to test on this, on the multiple guess part. Okay, so I believe that finishes finally our material for class. It was fun.